All right, we are ready to start. Hello, everybody. My name is Matthew.
Hi, my name is Melissa.
And we are with the Tampa-Hillsborough County Public Library. Welcome to the back to school event, the first back to school event for 2020 called The Next Book. Today is Thursday, September 3rd, 2020. And as you can see there, not only are we doing this event, but we have a number of different events and activities and great things going on for back to school. Go to hcplc.org/back to school to check it out. And we hope that you do. But before we get started, we want to do our book shout out. Go ahead, Melissa.
Okay, thank you, Matthew. So to do the book shout out, we're just going to take our cameras off so that you guys can focus on this beautiful cover. This is Dear Fahrenheit 451 for any book lovers out there. This book was written by a librarian, but it's really for all sorts of book lovers. It's a collection of love letters and breakup notes to the books in her life. So you know how when you love to read, there are some books that really affect you in a great way or in a not so great way. You kind of want to throw them across the room. So to both types of books, she writes notes that are really laugh out loud funny. And she had a lot of experience, so she has a lot of different books you guys may recognize. And it should appeal to adult readers and will attract anyone who, upon walking into someone's house, first side eyes the bookshelf and instantly judges. There's a reason I have a blank white wall behind me, you guys, because I definitely do that, and I don't know about you all. So check out Dear Fahrenheit 451. It's available in ebook or through a physical collection.
All right, thank you, Melissa. And now we are going to just kind of very briefly let you know what we're going to be covering today. You see the link up there that takes you to a list of all of our databases, hcplc.org/research/A to Z. And we're going to be talking a little bit about NoveList and Gale Books and Authors, and we'll have a couple of honorable mentions in there as well, Goodreads and Ask a Librarian, for ways to do what is listed here at the top. How do you choose from millions and millions of books that are out there? That's what we're going to be kind of trying to get to the bottom of today. So I'm actually going to switch on over to Microsoft Edge, and we're going to start at the library's website. You can see all the different links here, including learning and research, which I've highlighted. You can click on that, see all resources A to Z. And today we are going to be starting with NoveList. So you see there's a handy dandy little alphabet up here. I'm going to click on N for NoveList. There's a couple of options here. If you really are only interested in young reader materials, you can go straight to the K through 8 plus, but we're going to look at NoveList Plus, which really includes all the youth collections as well as things for adults. Now, the first thing we're going to do, I'll just kind of briefly show you a couple of the menus that are up here. Browse by. Now, I want you to take a special note of browse by appeal. If we have time at the end today, we are going to be taking a look at the appeal mixer. But if we don't, be sure to check it out on your own. It's a really fun way to discover new materials that you may not be familiar with. There's the especially for Readers Advisory and Working with Youth. Quick links with read-alikes, which I think is a really good feature of NoveList. And then the how do I. But we're going to actually just start with a plain old search. Actually, yeah, we'll start with the search here. I am going to type in the name of a book that I am reading. Let's see. Oh no, I think I've forgotten the name of this book. Hold on one second, please.
It happens when we read so much. Am I right, guys?
Exactly. Okay, so I'm going to get to it this way. Okay, so The Interrupted Tale is what I was trying to do. I got it mixed up with one of the other books in this in the series. So this is a book that I'm reading to my kids right now, who are maybe incorrigible in their own way. But it's called The Interrupted Tale. It's a wonderful book. It's part of a wonderful series written by Mary Rose Wood. And as you can see here, I've found the name of the book. There's a nice brief description, which sometimes you just want a very brief 1 or 2 sentence description for the book that you're reading. And then it kind of gives you the genre, the tone, a lot of different things about it. For those of you who do have kids or are supporting kids in some way, there is some accelerated reader and Lexile information here, which you can also do as part of your advanced search when you're looking into NoveList. And then it will have reviews and other things about the book. So I'm just going to go down here, and you can see there's other things that you can do to search a little bit further, but I'm going to click on more about this book. And here you can see there's a number of different things that describe it a little bit further, like it's attention grabbing. It takes place in London, England. If you wanted more books about governesses or schools or orphans, you could click on that. But I want to highlight one thing that's actually up here at the top. Sometimes it's not so easy to figure out what order books appear in a series. Now, this happens to be part of a 6-book series, but it's not necessarily clear from looking at the cover where it occurs in the series. So you can click on series and the name of the actual series itself, and it will take you to the series titles. So you can see, oh, you started reading this, you realize, oh, in this case in particular, this book series is very important to read in order because there's sort of a long game mystery that you're trying to get to the bottom of, and you get little clues in each book as you go along. And so you can see the mysterious howling is what kicks it all off, and then the hidden gallery, and then the unseen guest, and then finally the book that I'm on right now with my kids, The Interrupted Tale, and then we will have 2 more books after that to complete the series. So it's a good way of seeing what order the series occurs in order, especially for some of those bigger series where it's not always so clear. Now, going back to the main screen by clicking on NoveList Plus here, I wanted to show you just a couple more things. There are other ways to browse. You can see I'm in the mood for different age groups, different kinds of books as they described you can click through, but I really want to point out the lists here. These lists are really handy. Again, if you don't know what to start with, I'm going to actually start on adult nonfiction. I'm going to click on audiobooks nonfiction, and then audiobooks must listen. Well, if it's must listen, then clearly you have to take a look at that list if you're interested in audiobooks, and this audiobooks is a nice way to ingest nonfiction if you find yourself strapped for time, or if you have a long commute or something like that. So there's a lot of, this is must listen. So a lot of these have not only popular ratings on NoveList, but also in other platforms as well. I'm going to click on Talking to Strangers, What We Should Know About People, people we don't know. A recent book from Malcolm Gladwell, who has written other very well-known books. Again, you got the description here, you've got information about the book, but you also have Goodreads rating. So I'm just going to very briefly click on Goodreads. And we have here the information on the website Goodreads. And here you can see there's the title, the description, the rating on Goodreads out of, let's see, out of 122,000 readings, it's got a 4.04 out of 5, which is pretty good. And then what's really nice on here, it's also acts as sort of a quasi social media platform where you can follow other people who you are interested in following what they read. So for example, somebody who I've worked with before, Bethany, has marked this book as a to read because I follow her. And then you can also go down and see questions as well as ratings and how individuals, like, folks, people who are not necessarily reviewers, have rated the book and why they have rated it in that way. So I have a couple other things I'm going to show you in NoveList, but only if we have time. For now, I'm actually going to relinquish my control over to Melissa so she can show you a couple of things that she has in store for you.
Thank you, Matthew. So I love NoveList and I love Goodreads. I don't actually have any social media except for Goodreads, but sometimes you just don't want to have those advertisements on the side and you want to see what your library card offers you. So I'm going to show you guys books by Gale Books. There's actually 2 ways of getting here, and let me show you. You could click on literature and books and get there, but I'm actually going to go on resources A through Z, books and authors. All right, and this will take us to the main page of Gale Books and Authors. Now, the original focus of Gale Books and Author is popular and genre fiction, but it's expanded over the years, and now it's pretty impressive how they also have a lot of nonfiction books as well. And the read-alikes that you find for all of the books are not generated by algorithms, but it's actually editors and real-life people and librarians who generate read-alikes. So I'm going to actually launch a little poll and see what you guys have as a preference. So let's see what you guys think. What do you want to explore, fiction or nonfiction? And you guys can always explore the other one on your own, and I hope you do, obviously. Okay, wow. So most people said fiction. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and explore fiction here. I like fantasy fiction, so we'll go ahead and click on that. So again, here would be the drop-down menus, fiction or nonfiction, and it'll show you kids, young adults, or adults. And within the fiction, you could do fantasy, historical, horror, and you can even drill it down further than that. So for example, inside of fiction, you could have apocalyptic horror, coming of age, contemporary. Let's click on contemporary right there. And you can kind of select as you go what you guys want to look for. So this really is a black hole in terms of finding a lot of different books and finding the subcategories within the genre. As you can see, there is so much out there. So hopefully you guys can explore by the genre and subgenre, drilling down like that. Another thing I'd like to show you guys, you can search by title. So I'm going to search for a book that some of the people in this session will actually know. It is the book for October's book club, adult book club, and it's Euphoria by Lily King. If there's a book that you really liked, you can find it and find some categories that will drill down further for you to find your next read. So this is Euphoria by Lily King. If you guys want to read it, actually, I will drop the link to register for our October book club in the chat later on. But we can see the genre, the subgenre, the setting. You can find the setting in here, the subjects. Sometimes if you're in a series, you guys can see who the main characters are. And that's important. If there are series that have a lot of crossovers, like for younger readers, you might have difficulty finding all the books where you can find these characters. So that can be important, not so much in the adult books as much. But let's go ahead and click on setting, for example. All right, so these are all the books that they've got that are in New Guinea. We can search for it by time period. We can search for it by genre. And we can find a lot more things here. The other thing that I really like about Gale Book and Authors, just like with NoveList that has on the side read-alikes, at the very bottom, you will have read-alikes as well. And I did mention before, but let me repeat, these are not generated by an algorithm. It's actually generated by the editors of books and authors. So I find it to be really valuable. And you can also look at the reviews. So hopefully that is already giving you a little bit of some things to take a look at. Now looking at the menu here, if we go to the main page, we already see we can browse genres. We took a look at that. We already browsed by title. And let me show you guys a little bit of something with author search. Now, author search, I don't know about you guys, but before I started to work in the library, I wouldn't have thought there'd be anything here worth noting, but take a look. You can search by gender, you can search by nationality, you can search by ethnicity, and see kind of what shows up there. So that's pretty interesting too, right? Take a look at that. Maybe you want to, if you are having trouble selecting the next book, maybe you want to say, I want to read a book by an author from every country in South America, for example. And that would be something that you guys could do. So another thing that we all can take a look at, when you click on book lists here in the menu, there are 3 different categories that I'd like to highlight for you all. Award winners, expert picks, and librarian favorites. Now, if we take a look at awards, you will see there's kind of an overwhelming list of awards here. I will highlight 2 that I really like. I like the Pen Book of the Month Club Translation Prize because I love books that are originally written in other languages. And you guys can click and see through there. I also like the Coretta Scott King Award. Ooh, the Bram Stoker Award. I love horror, you guys, so I would probably be checking that out next. So you can take a look there. Now, another thing that you can take a look at, I hope that you guys go on your evening, do whatever business you have to do, but of course, I also hope that you guys check out Gale Books and Authors. It's a black hole in really the best way, same as NoveList. You can check out on expert picks too. And it has so many different categories from, the more obvious science fiction picks to 10 military mysteries and thrillers, family sagas, you name it. And the librarian favorites are also really great. I don't know if you guys noticed, but Euphoria was listed as a librarian favorite. So that's how we know it's going to be really great for book club. And you guys can take a look at different libraries picks from Bangor to Omaha to all sorts of different things like that. That's pretty much what I'd like to show you guys for books and authors. Though I do know you guys are going to go ahead and take a look at the nonfiction categories as well, of course. Just real quick, let me show you what some of the subcategories are here. Business, health and medicine, humanities, science, technology. And look at all the subgenres too. And there are definitely books for all sorts of people. So maybe if you want to read your way through genres or something like that, you can definitely use Gale Books and Authors in order to do that. So with that said, I'm going to relinquish control over to Matthew. And I think we'll go ahead and see if we have any questions, any other special features like the Novelist Appeal perhaps that we can take a look at and answer anything that you guys have.
All right, thank you, Melissa. We actually had a question come in. So before I do the extra novelist stuff, I want to see if I can kind of answer that question, but let me see.
Sure.
Okay, let me take back presenter. All right, so I'm gonna show this right here. Okay, so we were just going over those resources and want to go ahead and let you know before we dive into some of these last few minutes of demonstrations that we have a couple of ways to get in contact with the library. You can give us a call at 273-3652. You can go to hcplc.org/contact. And again, the back to school events, we have several great ones coming up this week and beyond, hcplc.org/back to school. And we have some other great reading lists on there and some other things that are really worth checking out if you're a student or a parent of a student or just want to see what's going on. Some great reads there. So the first question that we had come in, and reminder, you can post your questions in the questions section, is about AR points. So I'm just going to double check something here. Bringing up I went to arbookfind.com, which is sort of the official book find information, because I know Lexile matches up pretty well. So this is an author I like a great deal for young readers. Pitt Bartlett's Guide to Unicorn Training, which is the first, actually Magical Creatures is the first book in the 3-book series. And it looks like the AR points here are, let's see, 5.0. Let me just go ahead and check on this. Book level is 4.7, AR points 5.0. And now I'm going to go ahead and bring it up in NoveList. And yeah, it looks like it's a match there, 4.7 and 4.7 level and 5 points. So when you go to an advanced search, and you're looking at, I think we talked about this a little bit earlier on, you can search Lexile range and Lexile score, and you can search accelerated reader interest level, as well as the ATOS book level. So those are 2 different ways that you can search for that. Let me just double check the question and see.
Also, I have something to say about Lexile Level, if I may. Well, I don't really want to, I guess we can change presenter and I can be on the screen if you don't mind for a second, Matthew.
Go for it.
Okay. All right, guys. So speaking about Lexile Level on our catalog, you definitely can search by Lexile Level here in the advanced search feature. So
And
just
just
go ahead.
Amanda, or I'm sorry, Amanda, Melissa, just to clarify, this is on the library's web catalog. So if you go to the library site and click on books and more, you can link to the catalog from there and then do an advanced search.
Yes. And I also do want to encourage everyone. I know Lexile levels are super important, but remember page number counts as well. Just as long as they're reading the pages and the pages, that's also super important. But yes, you can search by Lexile level on our website. Okay. Thanks for letting me share my screen, Matthew.
No problem. We do have a few more minutes, so please keep those questions coming. And I'm going to show you guys a couple of more things in the in NoveList.
Okay.
All
And
right.
Matthew, while you're setting that up, I will answer the question here about whether these resources are only for books and not for any other media. I would like to let you know that in NoveList, you can, there are quite extensive audiobook features on there if you count that as other media. So one thing that you'll be able to check for is audiobooks read by people with a British accent, for example, or you can search for a specific audiobook narrator, people who have a specific tone in their reading. So it is mostly for books, but the audiobook feature in NoveList is pretty great. So I hope that gives you a little bit more information.
And I'll just piggyback on that. And the book that we looked at earlier, Talking to Strangers by Gladwell, when you pull it up as an audiobook or you find it through a search as an audiobook, it will tell you who the author is. And it's always nice to hear the book read by the author. Well, more often than not, I should say. It's a nice way to hear it and in a unique perspective. So I want to bring up one more book before we look at the appeal mixer. This is a book that was assigned to my middle schooler, and which I read with her, which was a wonderful, wonderful book. I would recommend it for adults as well. If you're looking for an interesting nonfiction book that's really not that long because it is really written for kids, or at least middle schoolers, you really can't do better. Linda Sue Park is a wonderful author. But one thing I wanted to point out about this, which I thought was really interesting, when I was looking through the record, let me see if I can go to more about this book. And I looked through at the subject headings and location, and I looked and I said, there's an interesting location listed there, Sudan, history, Civil War, 1983 to 2005. And I thought, how many books could there possibly be under this location heading? And I clicked on it, and sure enough, there are 28 titles. So if you were to read that book and think, boy, I really wanted to hear some more perspectives about Sudan during this time period or during times of conflict, you actually have a lot of choices there. And some of them have, as you can see, have really good ratings. So there's just, it's like Melissa said, it's very easy to get lost in here and see, like, just go down the rabbit hole of different trails. But there's a lot of different ways to find things that you might like based on different aspects of the thing you just read that you really liked. And that's one way. The other way you can do this is browse by appeal. Up here at the top, browse by appeal, and there's a little appeal mixer here. So for example, if you wanted to read something with a specific writing style, let's say you were going for something a little bit more scholarly, you could find titles that way. And you'll see listed right away, Da Vinci and the book Sapiens that came out a few years back, Presidents of War, and you can kind of like scroll through and see a number of different scholarly style books that really go, are very substantive in that way. But then you can limit it. So for example, I'm going to go with pace, and I'm going to say, let's say, I'll try intensifying. I'm not sure if we'll come up with anything. We got one intensifying pace. And then if you want a more leisurely paced book, There are, of those initial title sets, there are 43 that you can select. Now, let's say you didn't want scholarly and you wanted something more, say, for teens, and you wanted to go for something with, say, black and white illustrations specifically, and say you wanted the tone to be angst-filled. There you go. You got some black and white illustrations with a bunch of angst-filled books for teens, which, you know, maybe you don't want to double down on that, but you know, there's a lot of different paths. Now, sometimes you will compare different aspects in the mixer, and you won't come up with anything, but you can just kind of keep clicking around until you find what you're looking for.
Guys, I just want to let you know I have been responding to your questions privately as much as I can. Someone did ask how to find the Lexile level for their kids. If you do want to find the Lexile level for your kids, you can talk to their teachers, and I know that it is on standardized tests and things like that. But one way you could work backwards is see what books your child has read and understands, and see what the Lexile level for those books are. So in a sense, working backwards, you can find the Lexile level.
All right, excellent. Well, we could keep talking about this subject for hours and hours, but we'd much rather you spend that time reading or finding your next great book. So for today, we're just going to say thank you very much, Melissa.
Thank you so much, Matthew.
And happy reading, everybody. Bye.